Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the start of a brand new and very ridiculous Dominions 5 adventure. This is the beginning of Dominions Allstars, the draft game. The game where we all drafted different units from varying different factions with a kind of a snake draft style, and ended up with crazy combined nations of whatever we thought would be cool or fun or super powerful to pick. And of course, as I believe I've mentioned, I chose entirely independent units, no nationals whatsoever. So we have Blood Boys, Tekrate, Ishdod, Ragarus, Ilwinter, Kalkheim with a lovely custom banner, props for that, Zagartharus, Prime, Sacreds of Hell, the Order of the Divine Flame, R'hllala, and the United Independent Coalition. So let's dive in. My god, the Spirit of 76 will be leading the United Independent Coalition to spread their independent revolution of freedom, justice, and peace for all across the world. And it starts now. So, my nation, of course, I've got the Eludian Stalkers. I've rewritten the lore for all of my units, by the way. All of them. Most of the nations in this game have done the same, so you can see it's all special stuff. Probably I put too much effort into this, but you know what? It's fun. Most of the nations in the game have done the same, I believe. Not all of them, I don't think. We can look at the pretenders. So Scales Mictlan is best Mictlan, the god of Blood Boys, incorporated and trademarked. Okay, well, Unimaginable didn't because he's a heretic, and we're going to have to kill him. But, yeah, so we've got all... Scales Mictlan is best Mictlan, the god of Blood Boys. Real quick, I'm not going to go through these in super much detail because it would take forever. But basically, this is a nation that's designed to have ridiculous blood and also research. They've got skeptics, which are heretics, so they can stop their terrible dominion that I assume they have because they have fucking 5 scales from spreading too much. Actually, it's weird that he has 5 titles because that implies Dom 10 and Early Age Mictlan is a dying Dominion nation with... I guess he's doing that so that he can recruit tons and tons of Sacreds from every fort. So he's got Skeptics. He's got Phlegron Priests, which have that reduce unrest quality that makes them super helpful for Blood Hunters. He's got Sages, which are incredible researchers. He's got Aits, which are fantastic Blood Hunters. He's got Dryads. All the different variations of Dryads have been picked, by the way, and also I think Unimaginable accidentally gave them all this weird, creepy gray with red eyes sprite, which is sort of hilarious. So, they are Seducers. These are the expensive Dryads, which have Holy 2, but they have Awe, they're Seducers, they're Nature Mages, they have a couple of randoms. They're very powerful, of course. We've talked about Dryads, they're disgusting, actually. He has capital-only Onakis, which are super powerful Blood Death Mages. He has Thunder Priests in all forests. Thunder Priests they're a little expensive, but especially if you have a good bless for them, they can be very useful. For troops, he's got Bratarii. He's got Blood Guard, which are actually an independent unit that he stole from me, the bastard. They're very cost efficient and effective, including they have Berserker +4, which is crazy high. Will push their attack skill and strength both up to 17 when Berserk procs. But they have Homesickness 10, so they lose 10% of their hit points every turn they're away from the province they were recruited in, which makes them strictly defensive troops. But he can recruit them in every fort. He also has Eagle Warriors, the Middle-Age Mictlan version, so they can be recruited in every fort, and they are good for carrying an absolutely disgusting bless. So I assume that's what he's done. We have Imperial Guard, which are bodyguards, and the reason he took Imperial Guard is because this game has a terrifying amount of very efficient assassins. It's going to be hell. Absolutely hellish. He took Blind Fighters as well, which is, I would say, very weird. Like, it's hard for me to think of a scenario where you want Blind Fighters over Eagle Warriors, but hey, what do I know? He took Black Centaurs, which are also a very powerful Recruit Anywhere Sacred unit. I don't think you need 3 Sacreds necessarily, but eh. And he took Warriors of the Deep, which he can never actually recruit because he can't build underwater forts. But he took them and literally just put them in his starting army. So we were given a certain amount of money to form starting armies out of, and he put these guys in his starting army, and is going to be using them for expanding into independence. So, great. And of course, he starts with the Unimaginable site, which has all of Early Age Mictlan's gem income, plus Black Centaurs and Onakis. Banner of Unity, the Lord of Tekrate. Tekrate did write lore for themselves, which is great, although they didn't change any of this stuff, which the admin Summer just put in as a joke. He has Black Harpies, good stealthy fast scouts. He has Blood Cult Priests, which are renamed Mechlin Priests. He has Achas, which are Nature 2 healers. Very, very useful. He has Kamazots, which are, of course, early age Mechtlin's special blood death flying mages. He has Theurgs, which are very effective mages. He has Vanyarls, which we all know what Vanyarls are. And he took Basalt Kings, so one of the game's higher quality super combatant chassis, plus just great magic access, generally speaking. In terms of overall magic, he has some synergy here. He has very, very wide path access. Doesn't have great path access in anything except Earth. He can get Earth 4 pretty easily natively, and Water 3. In terms of troops, he got Hoberg crossbows before I could, the bastard. Furbolg Warriors, which are great, the spear and javelin ones, they're very, very solid. Defenders of the Halls, which are excellent siege troops, and decent defensive chaff. Steel Maidens, good at blending stuff, because they get 2 attacks. Chud Herdmen, which are even better at blending stuff, but a lot more expensive. Steel Maidens are 14 gold, 13 resources. Chud Herdmen are 35 gold, 21 resources. Chud Skin Shifters, as his sacred, they are, I believe he took them, yeah, they're capital only. And so they're the ones who turn into bears. And Bear Warriors, which are the undisciplined, high-quality berserkers that can be recruited in any forest. He's got a water gem, an earth and death gem, and a fire and 2 more earth gems there. So a total of 3 earth gems. Because he came from... I forget what nation. He was a Gartha, that's right. We've got Leave the Virgins Alone, the god of Ishtod. Formerly known as E.A. Vanheim. He took Morgan Princesses. God, I don't know why. I don't know why he picked Morgan Princesses. This is Summer, the admin. I think he's just memeing with those guys. He took Bakemono Sorcerers. Very, very good. High Seraphs. Pretty solid. A little bit expensive and slow to recruit, but solid. I mean, Air 4 is no joke. And the Air Water Astral Cross Path is also good. Hurim Priests. Solid, especially for the price. Holy 2. Death Earth Cross Paths. They're good. And they do still mummify. So he gets them back when they die. Master Smiths. Excellent value. Slayer Worms, remember what I said about all those assassins? Yeah, almost everybody in this game has high-quality assassins. So he has Sacred Assassins. And Ice Captains. No National Scout except for the Slayer Worms. But Ice Captains are good. They have the Ice Protection and the magical weapons. For troops, he's got Raptorian Warriors, pretty solid flyers. Herdmen, just regular old human Vanheimish Herdmen. Okay, a little resource expensive for what they are. Rangers of Ulm, good stealthy crossbows. Ice Guard, high-quality defensive chaff in Cold Dominion. Barbarian Heavy Horsemen, which can be recruited outside the capital as well. These are late-age Chin Chi's heavy cavalry, and for the price, they're exceptional. They really are. They've got lance charges, they've got 2 melee attacks, they have a composite bow, which ain't bad. They only cost 24 recruitment points, which is unusual for heavy cavalry. 27 resources, prot 15, defense 15. Excellent units. He's got Einheers as his, as a recruit anywhere unit. These are the middle-aged ones. Human Berserkers. Berserker +5 is no fucking joke. It's going to push their protection up close to 20, to like 19, I believe. And attack skill up to 16, strength up to 17, which means they're going to be hitting like trucks. Their defense skill will be low, obviously. They are counterable, but they're still very good. And he also took Ahiman Anakites, so I would anticipate that he's gone Production 3, Cold 3. Opener of the Wells, Queen of Fertility, Queen of Nature. That looks to me like it's... I mean, that's Water Nature. Did he go Quickness Regen? That would be hilarious if he did. We've got... I'm not even going to say that. Ragarus, formerly known as Early Age Makone, which was an interesting choice. He's got Koyas as his capital-only mage, very, very powerful mages, and they do mummify. So they will turn into Divine Malkis. Vanyarls, Witch Hunters. Interesting choice. I wouldn't have picked Witch Hunters myself, but okay. Astropelagists, I would absolutely have picked Astropelagists. They're great. It's the other Aits. We were choosing units by ID, and so if there are multiple unit IDs for effectively the same unit, you can have those units in multiple places. So this is just a different age of Aits. So he has those, Flying Blood Hunters. Monks, which are stealthy, divine insight, and have a tiny little bit of research. And Khans, so very high quality leaders. For troops, he's got Deep One Spearmen, which once again only recruitable in underwater forts. Zayedans as his capital only sacred, so terrifying, possibly the best sacreds in the game. Knights of the Chalice as recruit anywhere sacreds. Once again, very high quality cavalry sacreds. Barbarian Horseman. Solid, the lighter version. Abyssian Infantry. This was another interesting pick. I don't think Abyssian Infantry are worth their cost, but okay. They're heavy duty. Fine. Emerald Guard, once again, high quality bodyguard. And Standard Crossbowman. And he has got Jojo Jones' Bizarre Sight. Jojo Jones is the player here. With Koyas, Zyeddins, Air, Earth, and Fire, and extra 100 resources for those Zyeddins, presumably. The High Developer, misspelled, also formerly known as Middle-Age Arcocephale. He's got Flagrant Tyrants as his capital only. Yeah, baby, I would have picked them if I didn't have, if I wasn't going indie only. The Magister's Arcane, which are very good mages for the price, to be honest, and Drain Immune. Colossi Weavers, excellent Communion Slaves. Inquisitors, for his priests and command, I think. Diabolus, Fireblood. Bobanshi, or I think this is the predecessor to Baneshee. Heir 2 Assassins, Stealthy, Glamour, Heir 2, hit you with lightning bolts, and Kalian Scouts. He's got Wind Riders, which are a reasonably high-quality flying cavalry sacred. Royal Guard, bodyguards, high-quality ones. Downshi, I don't know why he picked these guys, but they'll recruit anywhere sacred, so they're just overpriced. Kappas, so he can go underwater. Samurai Archers, which ain't a bad choice, to be honest. I like Samurai Archers. Shibalban Guard, which I think is a little bit weird, but okay, they're also bodyguards. And Agarthan Light Crossbowmen, so they have the Agarthan Steel Crossbow. And, of course, he gets 4 Astral and 1 Nature per turn. And we've got Esidisi, Wamu, and Kars, aka the 3 Pillar Men, in Kalkheim. Kalkheim is, everything's gray in Kalkheim, weirdly, and I think it's because the idea that everyone is skeletons. Everyone is skeletons. He's got Wizard Kings, aka Divine Malkis, which he didn't write any fluff for. Shame on you. He's got Achromic Lords. Why is there? Everything that remains here quickly loses all color and will to live. Yeah, okay. He's got Grey Dryads. He's got Thaumaturgs, Astral and Death. He's got Blood Priests, Cultists, aka Solarian Cultists, and Engineers. Achromic Maidens, aka Morvark Knights. Fearg Communicants, so the unit recruitable Communion Slaves. Black Ice Guard, so Ice Guard with Ice Glaives. Raven Guard, so dual-wielding, flying, high-prot, very, very solid units. Wolf Riders, fast, cheap raiders. City Guard, or the Tower Guard, which are very high-quality infantry with crossbows. And Black Plate Infantry. The thing about this nation is, of course, it is Middle-Age Ulm with Solarian Cultists, so it can churn out 3 Cultists per fort per turn, and drown the world in skeletons, and since it is Middle-Age Ulm, the skeletons it gets are the Ulmish Greatsword Skeletons. So, they are incredibly powerful. Really incredibly powerful. And, of course, he has the Communions to buff them and cast... He took the National Skeleton buffing spells as well, so, yeah, that's going to be terrifying. Mandar Mech's gonna give it to you. He's stealing my shtick. How dare he? Cheap Bloodhunter, you know the drill. Starets, his capital-only mage, which are very wide path access, very effective cap-only mages. He has pans, but they're not capital-only, so this is disgusting. He's got blood all over the shop. He's got earth and nature access. It's gross. Crystal mages, so earth and astral. Warrior smiths for the forge bonus and minor paths. Good, cheap, efficient mages. Magisters, stealthy, have a chance to have magic, and are spies. And that's his mage core. Then he's got Pale One Militia, foresters, so stealthy short bows, Iron Crows, reasonably high prot broadswords, flying broadswords, Levite Zealots, recruit anywhere sacreds with a patrol bonus, Revelers, Berserk, stealthy, recuperating, yeah, they're really, really powerful. 2 attacks. Fantastic. Dawn Guard, bodyguards, and Great Olms, his capital-only sacreds. And he has the Roots of the Earth and the Starret Chamber. So this was, I believe, early Age of Gartha. Representative Pretender of Prime. Once again, misspelled. He's got Dryad Mothers, the real expensive ones, but still, Seducers, Assassins. Lore Masters, I would refer to this as a very Galaxy Brain pick. I don't think Lore Masters are actually very good. They tend to end up with one in a bunch of stuff and not be able to do much. Fomorian Kings, capital-only super combatant, pretty decent. She Lords, they did unfortunately get the gray sprite. Because everything refers back to that same sprite. But decent thug chassis. Jotun Scrati, powerful blood mages but expensive. Seth Kona, some of the most efficient and powerful communion mages in the game. And Druids, another of the more efficient and powerful communion mages in the game. Yeah. They, and he rewrote his lore, which is great. He took Androlets, interesting choice, can only be recruited in coastal forts. Hellherdings, it is capital only sacred. Trolls. Trolls are technically recruitable units, so he picked Trolls. They come with a magic site called the Troll Pit. You can recruit them from there. So he has Trolls as troops. I don't think they're worth 60 gold as troops, but they're pretty cool. Mounted Herdman, Storm Guard, Ice Protection, Seal Hunters, and Heelot Soldiers, the late age Phlegor ones that promote. Now, this is going to be interesting, because I don't know how much magic leadership he really has. I mean, his communions have magic leadership. Yeah, he's got some magic leadership. He should be alright. However, they are slaves, and he doesn't have any taskmasters. So I don't know that these are actually going to work out well for him, because they're going to have, like, morale 7 most of the time. He does not actually have a non-mage commander. He has She-Lords, so they can push them up to morale 8, but if they're outside of friendly dominion, they'll be back down to 7. I don't think Heelot Soldiers are actually going to help him at all. And the Conclave Prime, he can scry there, Astral and Nature Gems. Great. I know I said I wasn't going to go through everybody, and here I am going through everybody, but at least I'm doing it quickly. Bloody Rain, Late Age Mictlan. He's got Epoptes, Non-Fort, Heretics, with Nature 1 and a chance for Earth Nature. The best, I think, of Late Age Pythium's non-Fort mages. Dione, capital only, super combatant. Galderman, one of the very best mages in the game. Because they have fantastic randoms, they start off being Heir 2 for 190 gold, and they regenerate, and they can shapeshift. They're, if I recall correctly, they're very good. Imperial Geomancers, incredibly value communion mages. Lizard Kings, Holy 3, and 120 leadership. That's actually valuable and important. High Priest of Satis, Holy 2, a little bit less leadership. I don't know why he picked both of these. I think you only need one of these. But he picked High Priests, I think, as his, like, basic leader, quote-unquote. And Jotun Scouts, which are giant sacred scouts that he picked for the meme value. For units, we've got White Centaurs, capital only sacred. White Centaurs are disgustingly good. Spider Knights. Spider Knights are actually a good unit. I'm happy to see middle-aged Machakas units getting some play here. Centaur Cataphracts, once again, a very solid unit. Jaguar Warriors, so recruit anywhere, relatively cheap sacred that turns into a 3-attack Jaguar when it dies. Spirehorn Warriors, which are a moderately efficient flying unit. Agarthan Heavy Crossbowmen, so heavily armored, high resource cost crossbows. And Limitani, which are the worst of Pythium's infantry. I'm honestly surprised. I don't know that anybody picked the Comitatense, which is, in my opinion, the best. And he's got all these gems. Formerly known as Late Age Mictlan. We've got Yehiel, the god of the Order of the Divine Flame, formerly known as Late Age Raga. He's got Dadukos in coastal forts. Adept researchers, good communion paths, very, very solid mages. This is just the underwater version. It shows up twice for some reason in the mod. Polemarchs as capital only. I would have loved to see if I could get Polemarchs as recruit anywhere, but unfortunately that was not in the rules of the mod. Marsh Masters. Marsh Masters are fantastic mages. Buddhas are fantastic mages. I love me some Buddhas. Forge bonus, stealthy, heretic, incredible paths with useful randoms. They're just amazing. Sanguine Anathemants, so Blood 2 mages. Expensive, but Blood 2 is nice. Earth Readers. Earth Readers are decent value. They're not amazing value, but they're decent value considering that they're sacred. And Dryads, with once again the Hell Dryad sprite. So these are the relatively cheap Assassin Dryads. He's got Savaran Guard, very, very value unit. Vanheers as his capital only sacred, very high quality murder sacreds. Mouflon Cataphracts, excellent value heavy cavalry. Colossi Light Infantry. Defenders, so these are the late age version of the Tower Guard, once still great. Limitani Primani, which can be recruited outside forts. I'm still surprised that he didn't take Comitatenses. And Gladiators. And for his Demise's Edgelord town, this is Demise. I think we've all heard of Demise. He's got Polemarch Van here, Fire, Air, Water, and Astral. We've got Dido on tour, 2019, formerly known as Late Age Relay. Why he chose to be Late Age Relay, the world may never know. Late Age Relay is terrible, but he chose to be Late Age Relay. He's got Crab Generals, Star Children, Assassins, Forgiving Fathers, which are pretty decent value underwater mages, Ryujin, which are great underwater mages, Starspawn, the capital-only ones that can potentially random Astral 5, which is a little bit terrifying. And then on land, he's got Abbas, which are healers. Actually, these are the stealthy heretic healer ones, so they're pretty good. And he has Inaris, which are more expensive Saith Konos, but they have Death too, so they can form infinite skill spam communions a little bit better. In terms of troops, Shrimp Soldiers, which are, they're pretty decent, they're okay. Merman Net Throwers, which are weak, but you can spam them out very easily. Erythian Crossbowmen, which are a shit crossbow, but one that you can use underwater, which is very interesting. Ice Warriors, so the other late-age Atlantean infantry. I think all of them have been chosen. Naga Warriors, which I would not have picked, but up to him. Naga Warriors do have the Hypnotize and multiple attacks and all of that. I just think they're too slow to be of any real use, and they don't wear hats, so outside of the water they tend to get shot and die. Unsleeping, which are actually quite good. Prot 16, 12 defense skill, and they hit like trucks with their one-handed coral glaives that they for some reason can use with a shield, despite it being a two-handed weapon. They're using some kind of special phalanx tactics there. And Shark Warriors, which once again, very good. 2 attacks, Prot 19, Amphibious, excellent units. And then he has the Void Gate, and he has 3 Astral and 1 Water per turn. And then there's me, the Spirit of 76, Patron of Human Sacrifice, the Brilliant One in the Sky, Destroyer of Demons, Master of Heavenly Fires, leading the United Independent Coalition, the Revolutionaries. And just to go through this real quickly again, I'm going to do, before this comes out, I'll have done a strategy video on this nation, just because it's hilarious. Stalkers. I have Citadels. I can recruit 3 of these guys per turn from every fort. They are basic assassins, but with much better skills and ethereal, and they can climb walls, and their stealth is ridiculous. They are incredibly powerful. Abysses, just for leadership and disease healer for my old men. Conjurers, Death Blood for 65 gold, incredible value. Magi, Fire, Earth, Astral for 85 gold, also incredible value. Warrior Mages, not incredible value, but they can lead troops. They're combat casters, and they have 2 randoms out of the elemental paths. Which, honestly, I've been doing some testing with them. You can kind of thug with these guys, and they're not too expensive. So I can churn them out. They give me a lot of magic diversity that otherwise I don't necessarily have, like access to Water 2 and Air 2 and all that stuff. Or like Air-Fire cross paths, or Water-Fire cross paths, potentially. Like, there's stuff I can do with Warrior Mages, so I'm okay to have them. They're not super high value, but I just think they're cool, so I picked them. Circle Masters, which are incredible value, 165 for Death 2, Blood 2. And Adepts of the Iron Order, my capital-only mage, Earth 2, Astral 2, with a random from Fire, Air, Earth, Astral. They will get Air and Fire into my communions. They will get me Earth 3 and Astral 3. They'll be really valuable. It was kind of a struggle to... I had to pick something to be capital-only, because you had to have somebody be capital-only. And eventually I picked Adepts of the Iron Order, because everything else I need to be able to spam out huge numbers of. Iron Order, they're really good, but I don't need as many of them. For troops, of course, I have the Bergmeister Guard, the champions of the Hoburgs. They're honestly really good chaff if you can just buff their morale somehow. In hindsight, I should have taken a really high-quality leader, but there aren't many high-quality independent leaders. There's only one that has 80 leadership, and she is slow to recruit. So I just kind of sucked it up. Bergmeister Guards are also bodyguards. And they have, the important thing about them is they're size 1, and they have 17 defense skill and 14 prot, so they chaff like hell. The only thing that really destroys Bergmeister Guard, and it does destroy Bergmeister Guard, is area of effect evocation spells. It's a weakness, it really is, but they do have magic resistance 14 at base, so anything that's MR negates, especially since I can very easily cast anti-magic, just won't really hurt them much at all. So like Shadow Blast, pfft, whatever. Basic independent crossbowmen, the cheap ones. Bone Tribe Beast Hunters, very good offensive chaff. Berserker +3. They are undisciplined, but their morale and magic resistance are both quite high. They'll get massacred by archers, but they have javelins, they have really high damage spears, The Berserker will kick their strength and attack skill up even more, and they're cheap in resources. Souse. I think I've talked about this in the strategy video, or, well, I will. I haven't recorded it yet. Souse are fascinating. I've never seen them in a game before. I was browsing through independent troops, because independent mages, you can find some high-quality ones. Independent troops are kind of a sad lot, to be honest. These guys are linked to a magic site that only spawns in sea provinces, or on islands, I believe. And they are effectively early age Therados's Korribans. They're effectively those sacreds, but they're 1 gold cheaper and slightly lower in certain stats. And I was like, well, hell, I don't care about the stats, really, because the only purpose of Souse is to be a recruit anywhere cheap sacred that can carry a bless. And they can do that. They're even poor amphibians, so I could theoretically go underwater, although they would suck and die underwater. Like, really, attack -3, defense -3, and the bronze sword gets a penalty half the time for slash. Yeah, it would be bad, but I could do it if I wanted to. In any case, so I've got them. I've got Pegasus Riders, which are another recruit anywhere sacred, very low in resources, pretty high in gold and recruitment points. They have a lance charge and they fly. And that's basically the only reason I recruited them. They're just worse Wind Riders, because they don't really wear much armor. But if you can get them into the back lines to attack the enemy mages, they can definitely pay for themselves. Centaur Chariots, my main expansion force. They're size 4 tramplers and they're very fast, so they get to trample several squares per round before they get counterattacked, and they can clear out most independents very, very easily, I've found. And if they die, they actually shift to a second form, which is just the Centaur. The main difference is the Centaur is a slave and has lower morale, but will continue to fight, generally speaking. And then I have the Grey Knights. These are my capital-only unit. Let me be clear, Grey Knights suck. They're way too expensive for what they are, but what they are is actually kind of cool. They're ethereal, stealthy knights. So, yeah, I'm not going to be recruiting a lot of these guys because they cost the earth. They cost more than most of my mages for 1 unit, but it's actually an extremely high-quality unit, and it's ethereal, and more importantly, it's stealthy. So I can take these guys with an army without anyone knowing that they're there until they see a battle. So potentially I could do some funny ambush shenanigans with Grey Knights. We'll see if it works out. In any case, I have the Citizens Assembly. It enables the recruitment of the Adepts of the Iron Order and the Grey Knight. It kills the Undead, which is a little unfortunate. Astral, Air, and Fire gems. And super unfortunately, if I select my province here, it cuts off at the Citizens As. So fortunately, it doesn't go one more letter. It's not the Citizens Ass, which is good. It was in an earlier version of the mod that I think left the apostrophe out. So I'm glad that's not happening. And of course, my flag is just the independent flag, but with a pink border. So you can barely tell me apart from the independents, just as planned. In terms of national spells, which we were also allowed to pick, I took... this is a refluffed version of Ulm's national spell, Late Age Ulm's national spell, that lets a D3, B3 mage, a Blood 3, Death 3 mage, summon an immortal Death 2, Blood 2 vampire. So I can do this. It will be not hard for me. I have to hit construction level 4 in order to build a skull staff, but after that I can just empower somebody up to Blood 4 and cast the spell because it requires no research on its own. It is a very good spell. And especially because I have citadels, so I can churn out, a bunch of conjurers to really kickstart my blood economy very, very fast. In fact, that's what I'm going to start doing. Magi are excellent for communions. Conjurers are excellent for the blood stuff. Actually, I'll probably start off with Magi to push my research up early and to give me some usable early game communions, and then I'll switch over to Conjurers. You may notice I took a ton of scales. I have a ton of scales. I did take Heat 3, so my income isn't as good as it could have been, but there's a reason for that. I took Order 3 for recruitment points, because that's what limits me most. Production 2, because resources are also important to me. Growth 3, because I'm a Blood Nation. Luck 3, and Magic 2, and that's because the Spirit of 76 is imprisoned, and he's imprisoned in order to pay for this Bless. I have attack skill, strength +4, a little bit of magic leadership, that's important for reasons I'll talk about in a second, magic weapons to hit ethereal people, and fire resistance +10. Now the fire resistance +10, partially that's explained by my Magi, because fire spells out of Magus Communions will be something I do. It's also partially explained by one of my other national spells, which is Heavenly Fires. Heavenly Fires summons the Demon of Heavenly Fires. I just wanted to play with this. It's not the most efficient national summon. Those are definitely the blood summons. But it's 2 fire gems for a guy who's basically a storm demon. He's armor piercing instead of armor negating, because it's fire instead of shock damage, but still. And he has heat power, so he gets stronger in heat dominions. And of course I have a heat 3 dominion, so he will do more damage and have more attack skill and all of that. So Demons of Heavenly Fires I wanted to play with. They're really cool. I like them. I think they can be effective. I also picked Summon Ujigami. Ujigami are naturally ethereal. They are Holy 1. They're also leadership 120. So they are excellent leaders that give a big morale bonus. I have the paths to forge the Helmet of Heroes very easily, which gives +2 inspirational. So I can use those commanders to negate the biggest weakness of some of my troops, which is morale. Bergmeister Guards have low morale. Centaur Chariots have very average morale, and then when they get killed for the first time and become the slave centaurs, it drops to morale 9, I think, or morale 8. So an Ujigami wearing a Helmet of Heroes gives you morale +5 and can lead a large army, which is very useful because I'll be spamming out a lot of cheap units. In any case, I have talked for a long time now. This has already been a half an hour, and we haven't actually played any moves. So Shaiki is going to become the Prophet. Kakos is my Stalker, is going to move out. I am beginning, of course, with a basic independent commander and with a Stalker as my Scout. We did have to buy in our starting army. So my starting army is 7 Bergmeister Guards and 4 Centaur Chariots, and my starting recruitment is going to be as many Centaur Chariots as I can, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, it's actually only 4. I am 1 resource short. That's frustrating. Let's get 2 Bergmeister Guard then. So 4 more Chariots, 2 Bergmeister Guard, and now there's 2 ways I can go with this in terms of commander recruitment. And I'm going to go the first one. I'm not actually recruiting any mages turn 1. I'm recruiting 3 Stalkers. Because 3 Stalkers can move into an independent province, assassinate all the commanders, and then attack it and automatically kill the people inside. So actually, I'm going to go over here because this is likely to be highest resources with my, well, both of these are likely to be high resources. Let's send the Stalker up into the mountains. If I get 4 Stalkers in a province, most independent provinces, I've been doing testing and figured this out, have 3 commanders. So if I assassinate 3 times and then attack with a 4th Stalker, I'm very likely to win the battle automatically. Not guaranteed, some have 4, but mostly it's 3 or less. And Stalkers win against independent commanders like 90 or 95% of the time. The only time an independent commander can actually kill a Stalker is if A, they get lucky enough to beat the high defense score and the ethereal and then do more than 15 damage with the hit, which doesn't happen often, especially not before the Stalker stabs them. The poison dagger does strong poison, and the short sword does piercing damage and all of that, so Stalkers can kill independent commanders quite reliably. Or if they're a mage and they hit him with a vine arrow or something, sometimes that'll do it. But generally speaking, you know, in testing, I've run probably a couple of 100 assassination battles, and I only lost like 10 of them. So Stalkers are very reliable supplements to expansion. This is, of course, an improved Dominion start map. I think Nuke was planning to change the name, and I don't know if he's done that yet, but I'm not really very constrained here. I don't have a whole lot of terrain blocking me. I do have a river right there. I've got a river there, but it has a bridge over it, so it doesn't matter, and that's a large province, so I'd like to get there quickly. I do have a river there, but I still have these 2 provinces, and then that is a river. So as long as I spread my heat dominion pretty quickly, I'll be able to block all those up and use them as terrain blockages. And yeah, the chariots expand very quickly. Stalkers can attack hard provinces and wipe them out without any real casualties. So I anticipate being able to expand pretty well. We'll see how well it goes, because of course the other nations in this game are super cancerous because, well, they vary. Some of them were made to be just incredibly destructively cancerous, like Kalkheim here. Kalkheim is gross. Kalkheim has the Wizard Kings, which are, of course, innate casters, and so they can start casting spells round 1 very, very rapidly, and they're recruitable Holy 3, but they're expensive as shit. The thing about Kalkheim is just that they can spam out tons and tons of very high-quality skeletons and then buff them. Now, fortunately, they don't have the absolute best buff paths. They don't have Earth, notably, except in the form of their Wizard Kings, who don't have feet and so can't wear earth boots. So there is that. That said, they can form communions, and like they have the communicants, which are communion slaves, so they could just take one of these guys and slap a crystal matrix on him and run him in with about 4 communicants and cast Army of Lead or Army of Gold, which would negate the biggest weaknesses of their greatsword skeletons. In any case, Kalkheim is super powerful. Blood Boys is super, super powerful because his national spells are blood summons. And I think, if I recall correctly, he took... oh god, which one was it? He took one of the really disgusting blood summons. We have all this stuff linked in a Google document, which I will actually link in the description so you can see what all everyone took in this game. It's very, very gross, to be honest. His national spells, Blood Boys. Blood Boys, Blood Boys, Blood Boys. Where was he? Yeah, he took Teaching Sign, Seir, Lemur Consuls. So he's got all kinds of gross summons, and everybody does, to be honest. For mine, we were all allowed to pick one national item also. I chose the Jellybird, which you may never have heard of before. It's the relay, middle-age relay national weapon, and it's like a brand, except the area of effect is poison and paralyze instead of straight damage, and it also gives you a 20 prot protective force like a flying shield. So it's cool. Not super efficient, probably, but it's cool, and I wanted to use it. In any case, that's the end of this episode. This is the start of something ridiculous, something amazing, and we will see if the independent revolution can rise up and overthrow their imperialist masters with the help of the Spirit of 76. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in turn 2.